Character, the mental and moral quality of an individual. In our lives, we are our own individual characters. We all act different in various ways, and this is what makes up our character. There's good character and there's bad character. But with character, it is measured, and it is established to be measured out equally. Not too little, and not too much. We all, individually, have different developed scales of character. Though it is similarly the same effect for male or female or whatever, if your scale of character is too low or too high. But there are certain distinctive qualities for us men that you can distinctify if the character is too low or too high on a man's scale of character. When a man's scale of character is too low, his scale is very weak with character, and the effect is a weak man. Now, the distinctive thing of a weak man is he cannot think for himself. He cannot accept himself. He is as if he is running away from himself because he is fearful of himself. He blames others for his problems. He makes others deal with his problems. At any advantage he can, he runs away from the truth, his true self. This becomes devastating for a guy if he is weak and shows weak qualities and accepts a lifestyle of being weak, because it shows he doesn't respect himself. It shows he doesn't like himself completely. And he'll struggle a lot in aspects of his life. Constant anxiety, constant stepping on eggshells, relationships just toiled, and worst of all, depression. He'll want to isolate himself as much as he can because he doesn't see himself as an active part of society, and if he meets the wrong person, he's called out for it. And he's called out in the most masculine, stripping way a man could possibly face, being called out as feminine. Now, when a man's scale of character is too high and it outweighs the scale, almost breaks it almost, it becomes toxic. Toxic levels, toxic masculinity. A man who outweighs his scale of character outreaches from who he truly is and acts and thinks away from what is truly normal, what is moral. And if it gets so bad, it becomes psychotic, it becomes a psycho. Worst of it all, if a man has such overskilled character, he becomes a psychopath. Now, when a psychopath becomes psychopathic, the part of his brain called the amygdala is shrunken. Now, that part of your brain is an emotional receptor. It makes you feel emotion, it makes you feel your morality, your right from wrong, basically your fears. And once it is shrunken, you have no fear. You have no care. You think you can do whatever you want. You feel unstoppable. You feel psychotic. Luckily, it is stated though that psychopaths only make up 1% of our population in this world, but part of that percent is higher amongst men. Going down the scale from a psychopath, you look at how many prisoners there are in prison, because that's where mostly psychopaths end up, and you see that men are 10 times more in prison than a woman would be. So if you connect the dots, it's a lot more apparent with us guys. With the overskilled character on a man, he becomes caught in his ways of being misogynistic, just being a complete asshole to his world, feeling like he's just better than everything and everyone, when that's really not his true self, because no one is better than anyone or anything, when we are all equal. The toxic man suppresses his emotions. He uses his aggression as a gain of power for himself. He really does not have any empathy for anything that goes on in present-day life. It's toxic. Having a weak amount of it on your scale and having too high of an amount on your scale are both known as bad character. And that's why we want to level it out and level out the scale, equal out the scale. And when a man gets caught up into either or side of the scale of character, there are tactics they use so they can avoid equaling out, so they can avoid coming to what reality truly is. And that's called manipulation. A weak man with a weak scale of character will manipulate others into feeling sorry for him, feeling bad for him, to get them to do what he wants them to do for him, so he does not have to face it or do it himself, scaling his character even more downwards and leaving him in that weak position. And a man with overscaled character will threaten others. Will threaten others to the point of violence if it's that extreme. Will threaten others to the point of screaming at them, "Do what I say, or you're fucked." Both sides of the scale, both in avoidance of what your true self truly is. And the simple cure for curing these deficiencies or overabundancies is practicing and learning what your true character is and accepting it. What's right and what's wrong to you. Defending yourself, but not catering too much to others. Acceptance of your true self. I've read a couple articles where colleges have done where people would use teaching people good character qualities and helping them develop more of their characters, and it helps ward off depression completely because they feel more confident in themselves, they're more aware of who they truly are and how to defend themselves, how to get through their day as themselves. And same thing with people who have an overscaled of character. It helps them teach them more sense of morality and a sense of reality and appreciation for it as well, because it makes them come to realize that they are nothing special, they are the same as everything else, so everything else should be treated as equal as to them. As I think I've mentioned before, it is a very hot topic these days that people think the modern man is under fire of being too weak, so the people that view that are pushing more masculineness onto men to get out of this weak hole, this weak sense of character. But then the people who are trying to push more of a weaker sensitive side of men are trying to pull back, tug of war sense of deal, because they believe the men who are trying to push against this are toxic men pushing toxic masculinity. But it's all up to the individual, and it starts with their character. We are all individual characters in this world, and the way to live it out balanced and equally scaled is acceptance for everything and everyone. And most importantly, acceptance for who you truly are, what you truly believe is right, and what you truly believe is wrong.
Saint Perigene, patron saint of all forms of cancer. We ask you for your help in asking God to heal my cancer and keep it in remission. Pray for me so that I may live a long and faithful life.